Just got off the phone with Governor Gretchen Whitmer. You heard me say she rescheduled the media party to St. Patrick's Day. And Tony Daunt may have been listening. And it's not much of a party for Tony Daunt if Gretchen Whitmer's involved. He's the executive director of the Michigan Freedom Fund and one of her sharpest critics. Isn't that fair to say?
I think that's fair. Not a fan of her policies at all. I think that's very fair.
And why is that?
Well, I think, if you go back to the beginning of last year when things kicked off and the outreach that she supposedly provided to the legislature in that first State of the State address and the kind of desire she claimed to work with them and to get things done. And since then, it's been nothing of the sort. The legislature, I think, has extended numerous olive branches to get things done, to work with her, and she's rejected them. She started off with that ridiculous 45 cents per gallon gas tax increase idea. It was unpopular with everybody in the state. Democrats weren't even willing to introduce it in the legislature, and she continued to push it. She wouldn't get off of it. She wouldn't take any of their offers, and she continues to slam their ideas now and call them not serious. And it's just not a way to govern. She's governing as though she's still the Senate minority leader, not the governor of the entire state. And she's sitting back throwing bombs, and then expecting everybody to just kind of fall in line. And that's not how it works. The legislature is a co-equal branch. In fact, some would say it's the more powerful branch because it's named first in our U.S. Constitution, and it's the voice of the closest to the people. And I think she's been thus far an abject failure.
Do you think that this is all about who gets the credit? And in this political world, where if you're seen to collaborate with the other party, you're seen as a traitor and painted as a rhino, for instance, if it's a Republican, if it goes in the other direction?
I'm sure there's some of that, but I think if you look at it kind of with setting aside the partisanship and in clear eyes, you'll see that the Republican legislature has been willing to work with her and with Democrats. The budget that they passed, for instance, last year was chock full of Democrat votes on many of the budgets, and so there's a willingness to work together and get things done. And share the credit, but I think Gretchen Whitmer is just constitutionally incapable of behaving that way. She's used to getting what she wants, and she's used to being, like I said, a Senate minority leader, and just throwing bombs and trying to gum things up and throw sand in the gears. She's not used to being in a position to make things work and have a well-oiled machine. And I think it shows in the way she's behaved and kind of in the staff turnover.
How does it go the rest of the way? Because even Republican Representative O'Malley said he thought this year that the budget would be done well ahead of time instead of a situation where we're coming down to the wire. So there must be some level of cooperation, if not collaboration, right?
I mean, eventually there has to be, because they're mandated by the Constitution, the legislature and the governor, to come up with a budget by September 30th, October 1, however you want to state it. Mm-hmm. And if they don't, then the government shuts down. I don't think anybody wants that on their shoulders. And I know, but if you look at what the legislature did last year with the budget, they got one done. They got it done balanced. They didn't raise taxes. They provided $400 million extra dollars towards the roads, which the governor vetoed because it didn't involve a tax increase. And, I think they'll do the same. And then we'll probably, unfortunately, because it's an election year, we'll probably have a standoff once that budget's presented, and it'll go down to the wire, and the governor will try to blame the legislature. But I think people are sharp enough and savvy enough to realize that when that legislature gets their budget done, gets to the governor, it's then on her to sign it or work with them to fix it. And she wasn't able to do that last year, and I see nothing that'll make me think she'll do it this year.
Meanwhile, the governor is now a national co-chair for the Joe Biden campaign. He appears to be the Democrat nominee for president of the United States, and she gave the national address after the State of the Union address So somebody has a shine in the Democratic Party, clearly on Gretchen Whitmer.
Well, I guess, style over substance, I guess, is the mantra of the Democrats these days. She seems to be much more interested in raising her national profile and doing things to garner the attention of the Wokerati of the left than in actually governing here in Michigan. I think she forgets sometimes that she's the governor of Michigan, not of California or Illinois or some left-wing place like that. And it shows in her inability to work with the legislature and get things done. And that's unfortunate, but it's, sadly not surprising anymore.
Well, according to Greg McNeely, Michigan Freedom Fund, at least we'll have a $100,000 poet laureate on the staff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's great. He pointed that out in our in his most recent column. We made it the subject of our front lines last week, and that's true. It's ridiculous things like that. It's asking for, I think it was $40 million or some crazy number like that. I can't remember off the top of my head, for implementing her bonding scheme. And she claims she doesn't need the legislature to get things done, but then she turns around and says, "Oh, by the way, give me tens of millions of dollars to implement my credit card raise."
Tony Daunt coined the phrase Wokerati, and you can learn more at the Michigan Freedom Fund and sign up for the Front Lines for Freedom. It'll come to you every week in your email box. Thank you, sir.